Okay, this is the actual view of page. Karthik join. No. So before Karthik join, if anybody else also having any questions, you can ask.
Hello.
Yeah, Karthik.
So here the selected stage would be coming from this drop down, right?
Yes.
So not started. Okay. Can you go to the code page?
Okay.
In the Apex class, not there. So here in the query, yes. So the select stage would have the value of like not started in the brackets of max value. In the same, it will be
No,
coming like
actually,
this.
so we have a select option, this one, right? So here there is a value what actually in the backend will have, and the label will be a different. So the label and value. So you can maintain a different values. Even though you see this brackets and all, but when you select this one, the backend value is a empty. And here the backend value is a not started. That's why we have a two parts of it in the constructor. So in the constructor, what we have, this is the constructor select option. First one is a item value, and the second one is a item label. This everything is going to be a label part, and this is a value part. So if I select any of this label, the corresponding value will be stored in the selected stage. That's why even though we have all these brackets and range, but we'll not get all those here. We'll get only the value part of it. Is a blank value. If I open, so I selected approved and 62,000, but in the backend the value it coming as only approved. Okay.
okay.
Okay. So here I want to add a form. Something I want to go with examples. That I have here. Something I want similar to this one. Anyway, if it is two page blocks, one with student form and one with having a table having all student info submitted and stored in the list. Mission info submitted. This one part. So when submitted, Student info will store in list. So we'll have a form, and when we click a submit, it has to store in a list. And when you have a new info, the number of lines in the table will increase. And then at the end, I want to make this row level actions like edit, delete, and submit is going to be actual DMLs. The actual DMLs is going to be sorry, going to be create, update, and delete actions. I want to perform these actions along with the displaying in a page block table. Does anyone have any idea like how to do this? First of all, you understand this task or not?
Yes, Bala. I mean, for each student row, we need
Mm,
to give the functionality of editing the student information, right?
right. So we're going to have
So,
a two, yeah, two parts of it. One table or like one block is going to be your form, and the second block is going to be your list. So here it will be a student form, let's say. So here we'll be having some fields like student name, student standard, whatever fields you have, you will be having all fields over here, and you will be having a button called a save button. And once you do a save, already existing records, you will be having those lists over here in this table, each student information. So you will be having a student information over here, and then for each row you're going to have actions called edit and delete actions. So we're going to have a edit and delete actions for each row. And when you click edit, whatever the data in your row, that has to be populated in the above form. And then if you did edit, if you do a save, it just whatever changes you did, it has to reflect on the same row. And you might need a clear button as well over here. Clear button, so that if and every time you do a save, it has to give a message saying like this form is saved or the student information is saved. And if you're having any duplicate student names or any other validations you have, it has to give a error message saying, okay, this is the error, so you cannot save it. This is how it should be. So any questions on this task?
no, Bala. So this edit and delete, those are two separate two buttons, right?
Yeah, two buttons. And it should give a populate the value from the row to a form, and delete has to delete the row from a table, and the record has to be deleted.
Okay.
So whenever we click save button, information will be updated or it will be created in the rows. So is that the task by Bolu?
Actually, there are two tasks. So before I was explaining the DML things, I want to just do it on a list. So we have a list methods, right? So how to add a new row to a list, how to remove value from the list that we have, right? So I gave a task on to do these things on a list. That means temporary thing. After I did a DML, I want this to be converted to a database operations. So even though if you refresh the page also, the same data will be displayed. That makes sense?
Yes, yes.
Yeah, now tell me how we need to achieve this. A pseudocode or what are all things we need and how to start. Just go one by one, what we know.
So first we need to create the first section, the student related using code. So like taking some text related fields and drop down kind of thing.
Okay.
Then we need to write code for a save button, like on submit or on click.
Okay.
So then we need to use SQL query for the below section. The second section we need to use the SQL queries, like getting the data by using select statements. Or if it is creating a new thing, it is using select, or we can use update.
Okay.
I think we can use the DML options, upset. I think we can use the upset, right?
Okay. We can
For
use
the save, use the upset.
right. So we have two operations, either update or insert. So we can use a simply upsert one. So it will be easy. Okay.
So
What else we have?
for the below section, if we select, so based on the student ID, we can retrieve the data of that particular record and populate into the above section. Okay.
Okay. So we already retrieved in the below table, right? So the same thing also we can use in the above. We'll copy the data from below table to above form.
Oh, okay.
Until unless you have some other fields and which are you're not quite it or not in the table, then only you have to do a separate query.
Okay.
Okay. Now we have a few more buttons over there left.
That's clear button, right? So when we click the clear button, we'll just pass the null values to the all of fields section.
Okay.
This delete button, we can delete the record based on the student ID. I mean, anyway, so the record is there, right? So it will delete the record by using some SVO fuel queries. Delete operation.
So the key part here was when you do a delete. So we have a list, right? Out of the list, we can click on any delete button. So which delete button we are clicking, we have to know which record we want to delete. That is going to be a key part. Passing the selected value to the apex and delete only that record. First one. And in this form also, we no need to use the text fields. So I'm going to introduce you a new tag called input field. So the UI will be automatically adjusted based on the your field data type. If it's a pick list, then it's going to be a pick list. It will display. If it's text, it's going to display a text. Similarly, whatever the data type you have, it's going to display in the same data format. Okay, let's get started. I will.
Balu, what's the difference between input field and input text?
Sorry. What was the question?
Difference between input field and input text. We write code in a visual phase.
So input text
you
means you're making the input text. So it's only text input. Alphanumeric value or any symbols you give is always a text. If you give input field, whatever the field name that you give, based on that field type, automatically the UI will be different. If it's checkbox field, it will display checkbox. If it's a text, it will display text. If it's a drop down, it will display drop down. For everything, you will be having a single tag called a input field.
So field means it's a field in the object.
Right. You have to use the as object. It could be a standard or custom. You have to use a field. It could be a standard or custom field.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. So before I get started, I'll explain Sudo once. So we're going to have a view of page. It's going to have a 2 page blocks or single page block with the 2 sections. You can use however you like. And then in one block, we're going to write the form. In the second one, we're going to display a table with some buttons like edit and delete buttons. And in the logic side, we have to have a methods for a save one method, clear one method, edit one method, delete one method. That's all. Are we good? Let's write the code. Give me a second. I'll come back. First of all, we create a new class. what I'll call form and table example with input field. Okay. So I'm going to do this on a project object. So I'm going to have a project variable called project. So that's it. And then I'm going to display the list of project. All projects again get set. And then what else I have? I guess that's all. And then we should have a constructor where we initialize and query. Select project name, comma, stage, comma, number of employee from project. We like to give created date, standard field, and then I like to initialize new project. And then what I should have, save project. Here I'm going to insert the project. So before I do insert, I would like to check if there are any duplicate projects are there or not. So how will I check? First thing was I have a validation saying that project name should not be a blank. So string dot is blank.
Bala, this example is student only, right?
Yeah, there we have a student, but I don't in this org we don't have a student object. So I'm doing it on a project. You got it?
Okay, so I mean,
So all
what
tasks,
we
all tasks I'm giving is on a project, sorry, student, standard, and then grade, all that. I'm not going to do any of those in this or where I am explaining. Mostly here I was explaining with the project and resource combination or a standard account and contact. So I want you to try with your different. So that's why like I giving all this task naming with the student and all tasks are going to be same. But in the class or here we give examples on a project and the resources with or account and contact. Not exactly same as a task, so that it looks fresh to you. It's a similar task, not exactly same. It's a similar task.
okay.
Apex.
So here we're going to create any new project or updating the project information, right?
Yeah, so instead of student, it will be a project.
Oh.
Adding a project, updating, deleting, hub meeting, everything will be on the project side. That's it. Mm, 1 second. Sorry. Which was Can you see my screen? Hello. Can you see my screen?
Yes,
Yeah,
Bala,
Bala.
yes.
Okay. We're going to have a new Apex message, Apex based message. This will be having a severity called it's the error, right? So severity dot error. Apex pages dot severity. So we have all these options: confirm, error, and fatal. So here we're trying to display error message. So I'm going to give a fatal and then followed by the message, whatever that we're going to display as your error message. The message would be project name is required required. One closing and then two closing. Yep. So before doing the save, I was trying to do a validation message, and then if I don't have any one, then I'm going to do a insert here. So here instead of insert, what we thought, doing a upset. And then we have a two buttons, right, called handle edit. So in edit, we're going to we should get some value that we need to take. The value will be public selected project index. So it's going to be a project equal to your all projects with the index of whatever you have all project, and so here we like this. So it will populate, and then we have a similarly exactly we should have a handle delete. So we're going to instead of doing this one, simply we'll be having the delete this. So after delete, I'm going to add a message saying that add message here. Instead of fatal, I'm going to add a success message. Success or a confirm is what we do. Selected project deleted. Okay, done. So after you do a delete, we have to refresh. So I will write one more method for running the query again, or I would say fetch projects and whatever I have over here. I'll shift this query to a fetch projects. I'll call this method. So every time I do a delete, I will call this method. So it will take the whatever the remaining projects have. So any questions in this part? What I wrote so far?
Simple recap.
Yeah, recap will then when we have VF page and in the combination we do. But here we're trying to do on save, we're trying to do upset whatever the form we have. Either we do update or insert. And after doing update or insert, I'm going to give a confirm message. If it's having like without giving a project name, if you're trying to say, I'm going to give a validation message. Project saved here, and then handle edit. So we have a list, right? List of projects we'll be having. It could be any button that you're going to click. Whenever you click, we have to populate that row into a project. So this project is going to handle all the form. What are the fields you having, like name and then stage and number of employees? Everything will be the fields of the project only, right? So one variable should be enough to do that. So I just copying that to the selected row. So it will be having all values. The same values we're going to refer in the form. That's what here. And delete also, we have to delete only the specific indexed project only. So that going to delete only that value. And then after delete, I'm going to show the confirmation message. And after I delete, two things you can do. One thing, you can remove the value from this list with in that index, simply a list functions or list methods you can use and remove the value from here. Or simply, if you want to refresh from the database itself, you can call this method. So it will do a fresh SQL query and give up whatever the records remaining in the table. Okay. Visual Force page. VF page. Controller. We're going to have a Apex form. equal to in the form. I'm going to have apex page block, apex page block I have, and the apex page block I'm going to have a apex page block table. In a page block table, I'm going to have the value is all projects we have similar things on it, the style place, everything like here. Text columns. And then I'm going to have one more page block. Here I'm going to have apex page block section. This section I'm going to have a columns equal to 2. What should I have? Page block section item. Section item. Here I'm going to have a call apex input field. Apex input field value will be the your project dot project name. There's one, and then project stage I have. I'm going to have a apex page block